Are you ready to get the hydrofacial glow? Loved in 87 countries across the world. It's not a facial, it's a hydrofacial. Now available across the UK. Visit hydrofacial.co.uk to find your nearest location.
Hello, and welcome to Angie.
Hello. It's so lovely
Oh
to have you again.
Officially in your nest and loving it.
Yes.
I never heard you say that, darling. Thank you so much.
Yes.
It's actually my daughter's top. That's the good thing about being, around the same size as your daughter. When you want to knit their clothes, it's fine. But when she wants to knit my clothes, I get a bit, you know what I mean?
I'm exactly the same as you.
But I'm the same, and we all have daughters. But the thing is, with my daughter is, she doesn't tell me. And so therefore I go to my wardrobe and I go, I'll wear that. And it's not there.
Okay.
That's interesting because I would rather kill myself than try and fit in my daughter's clothes because she's much more petite than I'm. And I don't think she would rather eat her own foot off rather than wear anything of mine.
Oh, but Harriet, actually, that's not quite true because often when I say to you, you look gorgeous today, you say, well, my daughter chose it for me.
Yeah, she dresses me down. Sarah. She dresses me, she chooses it, but she wouldn't wear it. That's the difference.
And I love your shoes, darling. They're always that high.
Of course, darling. When you're 5'2.5", you need to
you need to elevate yourself, and you do it high heels. But I actually think it's quite nice that our daughters either want to dress us or want to wear our clothes or want to even share. Look, my mum, she's just turned 90 and she still gets her hair done, still gets her nails done, still goes to the gym, but our clothing taste is a little bit different.
So you've stopped borrowing your mum's clothes, is that what you're saying?
Just recently,
yeah. Okay, just checking.
Angie, does she go to the gym?
She does. She goes to an OAP's class. She's got an exercise bike in the far end of her living room. She goes to the gym. She goes out walking. Got her hair and nails done for her 90th birthday party and had an Insta reel made. It was really brilliant. Amazing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That is impressive, isn't it?
This is what we have to aspire to. I think the thing about aging now is that we kind of aren't. We're kind of all going backwards, aren't we, a little bit? So soon, as my daughter says, soon, Mummy, you'll be looking younger than I am.
Yeah.
But
I think it's a state of mind, isn't it?
Yeah,
it is a state of mind. And it's not that we're fighting age or trying to deny our age. I think it's more about a feeling. A 56-year-old, 60-year-old 20 years ago wouldn't have the same mindset that we have now. So I think a lot of it is to do with what's going on in the mind. And then, before, our mothers probably gave up, sat down, didn't do much. Whereas now we want to keep ourselves fit and healthy, be out and about. And why not do the splits?
Darling, exactly. And I don't think any of our mothers gave up. I think they kept going.
I think
they were full glamour till the end, to be honest. And I
think there's more awareness now of how good exercise and diet is for you as well.
Or just make up the surgery, Dee. That also helps.
Yes, because as I've said before, these used to be my tits.
Yes.
Oh dear.
Did you have them replaced? Because I know you said you've had surgery. Did you just take a bit out and plop them there?
No, I just pull them up, Harriet.
Okay. Darlings, who have we got coming into our nest today? I've got to stop.
Well, I can't take it excited. I'm very excited actually because I've loved this man for years, and he's not just a musician and a chef and an inspiration, but he's everything. And it's the amazing Levi Roots.
Welcome to our nest.
Levi, it's so great to see you, darling. You are a man of many, many talents.
Thank you so much. It's always lovely when someone tells you that first thing. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Not at all. I mean it. I've been following you for years, everything you do. And I know that you were actually nominated for a MOBO Award in 98, weren't you?
I was, which is still one of the most fantastic things and one of the things I love to talk most about. When you're I don't know, when the public says that you're good at something, it wasn't like a record company is giving you a tick saying, thanks for making sales for them. You know, the Mobos in those days anyway, what was about the people. So yeah, I'll always be grateful for that nomination. Yeah.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And you've gone on to do so many other things, like we all know you from Dragon's Den.
You're not going to go there, are you?
We're not going to go there.
No, that's fine. I've slayed them. They're all dead. So we can go there anyway.
Levi, I love that you're still very much steeped in your musical roots. As much as we love your cooking, it's about your musical roots. And what you've done is you've connected now with this Jamaican rugby team to record their theme song, which I love. So One Dream, One Team, Sweet Jamaica. I love as well that it's got the Jamaican tones of the national anthem out of many people. Yeah. Tell me the inspiration behind writing this song.
Yeah, hi Angie. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, inspiration is the word, you know, because when I first heard about these boys that they were training towards the World Cup and they wanted some support, they were reaching out to a few people. As a Caledonian, you know, and a passionate Jamaican myself, when I see someone trying to move on, if I can help in some ways, then I will. So I agreed to sponsor the team. Yeah. And the thing was, they had qualified for the World Cup. I mean, they qualified through America, which was unheard of them last year. And I think because of the COVID thing, the match was put off a year. So I had a bit more time to be able to get things together, to work with the sponsorship, work with the team. I recognized that a lot of these boys were British boys who had Jamaican parentage. Yeah. Perhaps hadn't had the experience of, or doesn't know the real meaning of out of many we are one. They don't know the words of Marcus Garvey. They don't know, they haven't been to the top of the Blue Mountain Peak. Not that all Jamaican has, but I wanted to give them the sense of what it was to be Jamaican, and to be able to play with, you know, with that talawa, which is that Jamaican superpower that we say we have anyway. We literally like that talawa. So I wanted to put that in a song and being able to inspire them in some ways.
You know, you're talking about Jamaicans, you're talking about the Blue Mountains. Now, even though my parents are from Barbados, I is a Virgin, yes. When you go to Jamaica, there are certain places you just have to visit. So you have to go Negril. I drove through Fern Gully. Oh my goodness, never seen anything like it. And as much as I love my Bajan roots, there's something very, very special about Jamaica. You will remember when you were growing up here, when you came here, as long as you were Black, you were Jamaican. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah.
Yeah, so even, when I used to tell people when I was growing up, I was from Barbados, it was like, where's that? Jamaica's quite a force when it comes to the Caribbean, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. We say it's the biggest small island in the world. Because I think it's the passion and the heart, of Jamaicans that allows us to excel in our own way. I mean, the other islands are great as well, but in our Jamaican way, we seems to have the blessing to be able to take that forward and to stand. For a small island, we have one of the greatest philosophers in Marcus Garvey. We have one of the greatest men in the world in Bob Marley. Yeah. We've had some of the most beautiful women. I think Jamaica is amongst the top 10 of the most Miss Worlds for this small island there is. We have political, heroes. So I just think it's a beautiful way that the countries come together when it needs to excel itself. Like, for instance, in rugby, when I was a kid, you could have, if you chucked a rugby ball at me, I'm probably thinking that I don't know what it is, because no one played rugby. But again, this is the moment where we have the talawa, where we excel at doing things.
Don't want to hold the limelight, but you've just mentioned rugby. Now, Jamaican, when it comes to sport, let's not mess around. You are amazing sportsmen. I do find in the athletics arena, that's where Jamaica does excel. So you've got Kellyanne Fraser, Johan Blake, of course, Usain Bolt. I could go on and on. Do you believe that these young Jamaicans playing rugby are going to instill themselves on the sports map like athletes have?
Yeah, come on, Jamaica. Absolutely. And the reasons why I say that is because they've already made history. These boys are history makers, and there's absolutely no doubt about that. And I think that's the first crown we should give them, is that you are history makers, the first Caribbean island to play in a rugby league, World Cup final. So for them and their families personally, the stories behind this is actually bigger, because there are some kids that thought they would have. There's even one kid that his mom has got cancer, and she feels she's on her way out, and this is a moment for him. And the decision was whether he's going to get in the team or not. And then when he did get in the team and play, be playing for Jamaica now, it's an absolutely heartwarming story. So again, there is so much, that these boys have brought to the game that perhaps wouldn't have been highlighted in the game in that kind of way, because other teams just play rugby and you think about that and that's it. But I think with Jamaica, there's something else that's happening in the World Cup finals here.
Definitely.
That's so beautiful. Darling, I'm going to take you on another course now. And I know you did mention not talking about food, but I have to, because it is my life.
Bring it on.
It is my
Bring
life.
it on.
Sorry, I have to, darling. I can't even begin to salute the sauce enough, obviously. But more importantly, I want to know, when you were a kid, do you remember that first time that you tasted something that led you to be dynamically excited about finding out how this happened and what it was and what the things were? Was it your grandma, your mum? What was the first thing you remember tasting that put that light bulb on?
Well, my grandmother had a special way of creating something out of nothing. We were a very poor family in Clarendon. My mom and dad had left during the Windrush generation, and the grannies always had the job of bringing up the family. And then every year, a suitcase would arrive, and one of the children would have to go, and so on and so forth until the final one leaves granny, which that was me. But during the time when I was with her, these are the inspirational moments that I grew up with, by hearing her singing and cooking at the same time.
Yeah,
we couldn't afford the meats, the big flavors, but what she was good at was making flavors out of the things that she grew in the garden, which my grandfather had a little farm and stuff that he would grow. And when we had things like just the sweet potato, because we were poor and we couldn't, but it's the gravy on top, it's the sauce that she would put on. The simple things like a baked sweet potato, which she would put in the hearth and use the hot ashes to actually organically cook the potato. And then she would make this sauce out of Scotch bonnet and pimento and thyme and all these kind of lovely things. And the smell would be absolutely amazing. I recall as a young lad playing out in the fields, and I knew when dinner time.
Yeah.
I could smell it from miles. But the thing is, when I normally got home, by the time I race home, there's already the house full of people already to eat a little food. But that's my memory of flavors. My grandma's making flavors out of absolutely nothing and filling our bellies as kids.
That's amazing. What was the first thing you cooked?
Ackee and saltfish is Jamaica's national dish. It is said that's what the Queen had when she first went there, hence it being the national dish. It is ackee tree grows in almost every garden, and everyone has it because it's a staple food it's the national fruit. Look to your viewers, just in case you don't have to quickly Google it yet. It looks a bit like scrambled eggs. It has a nutty sort of taste to it, but it comes alive when you mix it with salted cod.
And what I love, darling, is to have a sound effect from Angie the whole time you're talking. It's underscoring every word that you say.
I tell you, it's absolutely amazing. Ackee and saltfish is my favorite and first dish I ever cooked.
It feels a bit like food porn as far as Angie's concerned.
Yes, indeed.
The noises and the bliss that is coming over her face is quite incredible. Levi, I want to ask you about your hair.
Lord of mercy.
Wow.
Looking good?
When did you last cut it?
Oh, I've never been asked that. Oh, let's see. Oh, that, ooh. Don't know, perhaps 92.
Wow.
No.
Wow.
Yeah. And I started in 86. But yeah, that 92 is the only time I've ever cut. But I started to lux it again about a year after. I cut 93, I began doing it again.
Oh,
It really suits you.
Yeah,
It really suits
I
you.
love men with long hair. I think it's really, really, no, I just think it's really attractive. I think it's gorgeous. I think you look lovely. Sorry about that.
Like I said to Angie, we do have security for Debbie. So if you're worried, just let me know and I'll sort it out.
Well, no need, because, okay, Debbie, I'll to give you a little bit more history and why I chose to here. I remember I was about 16 back in the days of Rastafari. I was coming through. Bob Marley's music was coming from Jamaica, and you wanted to find your identity as a child. You wanted to know where you're from and all that kind of stuff that you go through. And I always wondered why my parents had named me Keith. And I hated the name Keith and wanted to find out why. And I used to look up in the history books and see where it came from. And you could have got through that it was Scottish and all that kind of stuff. And because of the music that was being inspired by Bob Marley, that was telling me anyway that I'm, that I'm African in some sort of sense. So I had to make that connection. And it's looking in the mirror and thinking, I don't look Scottish, something. I've ended up with it. So ended up wanting to change the name from Keith. And it was again through the music of Dennis Brown and Bob Marley, Peter Tosh, Bonnie Wailer, that made me wanted to turn into a Rasta and then change the name from Keith into Levi and started to grow my hair as inspired by the music and the whole Rastafariism that was coming from Jamaica. And it stayed with me apart from that one time when I did cut in 92.
When did you cut it? I mean, how short was it? Was it really short?
Yes,
or just short?
I completely off. Because when you do that, yes, it's a rebirth. Yeah. In certain ways, it's your rebirth. But it depends on what you want to rebirth into. Yeah.
So my cousin in Barbados is a Rasta, and he says that periodically, you get your locks tightened and refreshed. Periodically, he does shave it off. It's like a cleansing in a positive way and a renewal of your beliefs and like being born again.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when I started again, that was the process of getting rid of the Keith by then, which had got me into trouble, got me behind bars, and I was not a very good person growing up in my early days. But it's that rebirth in the 90s when I recognized that actually I want to merge these two things that I saw my granny doing. I want to merge the music, which I was by then, I was a pretty much okay reggae singer within the roots and culture community, hence the Mobo Awards and all that kind of stuff. But then now I wanted to merge that with the food and put that together and be this new person. It wasn't a smooth ride, but when you believe in something, because I think I was driven by my grandma, I think I was driven by wanted to emulate how she would present herself, and that was through music and food.
Isn't that funny? Because my grandma as well was very, very important to me. I think, and she brought me up because my father died when I was very young, and my mother had to go to work, and she brought me up. But the thing is that I never, ever wanted to cook. I never had I just liked to eat, but I didn't like to cook. And I don't know why it never appeared. It was like something that she did.
You missed that punchline there. It's the wickedest one we've had today. I just love to eat.
I don't know why I was never inspired to learn to cook. It's weird, isn't it?
And you still don't, do you, darling?
No, darling. Four-lettered word.
Well, why not? When you can get somebody to do it for you. And I think this is another thing when I fell in love with the old food and cooking and wanted to make that be my life instead of just with the music. You know, I was not writing songs about food. Hence the reggae sauce song came to be my natural way of representing the sauce, even before Dragon's Den. That's how I would present it when I first, you know, started to do it in my kitchen, you know, with my kids, and take it out on the road. Into the shires, we decided to go. Anyway, that had shire at the end of it, you know, we would go, because we recognized that we couldn't sell a Caribbean sauce to a Caribbean community, because here in Brixton, people make their own sauces, their own germs. So to try to sell them something, it just never worked for me. But, you know, you always have to find your own market. I recognize that, no one has a right to a market. You have to go out and find it. And so me ended up in the Shires and got some amazing stories to tell about me, you know, with the guitar in North Yorkshire and Carmarthenshire.
Wow.
Someone going around with the guitar. It's amazing.
Levi, have you done a one-man show? Because on stage, just chatting.
Well, yes, I do, because I seems to turn my my performance skills, I suppose, into my everyday life. Because you have to be the true you. I don't care what anyone says. You know, you cannot suppress a part of you which is natural and expect to be a success. I want to be successful, hence I want to be the best of me at all times. And music and the food has to be intertwined in every way. So to answer your question, even I do get a lot of speaking, you know, opportunities, you know, absolutely lots throughout the year. And whenever I'm on stage, whether I'm talking to a lot of bankers or solicitors, or even to a room full of 400 lawyers, as I did a couple of weeks ago, or even to a school, which I try to visit, you know, loads of schools around the country, or prisons. It's still the same Levi Roots that I still try to portray, because my mantra is to be yourself. It's easier than being someone else.
And you certainly are, Levi. You certainly are. Levi, would you come back and talk to us again?
I'd love to. We've only just begun.
Exactly. Oh, that's amazing.
Well,
Thank you.
We're going to call this show Levi Chapter 1.
Yes, we will. We will.
I should be like buying 10% of your lines there.
Oh, Levi. So what's next for you?
Well, some amazing news, which, you know, it's that moment that you just think that, no, it's the Levi Roots film. We've been sort of plodding through the script over the past couple of years, and we've just finally, you know, got almost to the end of it. So I'm hoping that production will start by December, January, of the Levi Roots movie. So that's going to be
who's going to be the young you?
Well, you know, I'd love it to be someone British. You know, I'd love it to try to stay here. And you know, and get someone or a family that really knows what it's like to be a Levi Roots, because I think it's important that I try to connect with some of the kids like I see through my eyes when I was quite younger, and I would have never seen someone pass through my local Brixton that I could identify with, that was telling me to be good and to be the best of yourself. No one like that ever came. They never. So I'm hoping that this film will tell some of these young kids that you can be successful. You can come from the hood, as they may call it, or the middle of, you know, Tuxteth, or wherever you're from, whether you're black or you're white. You can come from there, and you can actually achieve as well. So yeah, I'm excited for that part of it, but more exciting to see me on screen getting a small little part.
Oh, Levi, that's really exciting news. Thank you. So we're going to see you very soon, darling.
Yeah, come back.
Yes. That's lovely to see you. I'm just so over the moon.
There's no escape, darling. You're coming back.
You are. And we're going to play out with your music now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ciao.
Thank you, darling. Lots of love. We love
Bye,
you.
Harriet.
Bye, darling.
It's a jam right up there in the streets. Nothing to buy, nowhere to go, or nothing to eat.
What an inspiration.
I love him. I love him.
Love you, Levi.
So many things that we can take from that, actually. What a great interview. Great.
Angie, it's been such an inspiration having you here this week.
It's been lovely being in your nest. I love being in your nest. It's a safe place to be. It just warms my soul.
Lovely. And I just love listening to you as well. I could close my eyes and your lovely voice is like...
Many people do close their eyes.
We've got security for Debbie, so if she comes on strong,
Angie knows that I love her.
Thanks for allowing me on. It's been really lovely.
And you'll come back soon.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Fabulous, darling. I'll be listening to you on Smooth.
Hope so.
Every day.
Hope so.
All the time.
Love you, darling.